Hi everybody, my name is Brahman Menor. I'm a teacher for Pranic Living and Enlightenment. And today I like to do a Q&A about all the questions that I hear all the time with the topic our ego. A lot of posts are made on Facebook about ego, and on all the posts I got a lot of questions about people that don't understand ego, triggers, life, how it impacts life. So I made a summary of most of the questions, and let's see if it can assist you to grow in your life. So here we go.
What is ego?
What is ego? Ego is the energy of the mind that started when we were born, and it is our personality. So ego is your mind, it's your personality, in combination with the body and the triggers in our body. Those two create our ego. And it's part of the mind and physical body. It's not who we really are.
How does ego shape our experiences?
Beautiful question. Yeah. From the moment that we are born, all your experiences, memories, painful memories, beautiful memories are stored in your body as triggers, not memories. And your mind, your personality reacts according to personality on all the triggers. There are 9 types of personalities, and the personality is the mirror of the glasses which you look through and creates the story of your life. For example, 3 children sitting in the back of a car with different personalities, and the driver runs into an accident, and each personality reacts different. The control freak, for example, only like to drive a car in the future when he or she is behind the wheel. The second one, the drama queen, never wants to drive a car anymore because it's too dangerous. And the adrenaline junkie likes to turn around and do it over and over again. And it's the same moment, the same experience, only different personality, different glasses, which they look at through to the accident and reacts on it. So your personality determines how you look to your life, how you experience your own life, and how it forms your life. Simple as that.
Where does it start? Does it start with the life experiences, or does it start with your personality? Is your ego being shaped in response to experiences? Or, yeah.
Okay. when we come here to this planet as a soul, we take a book of life, and when your physical appearance here on this planet as a child starts, your first chapter in your life starts. And in that book is written which personality, which personality you will create in this life, what the triggers are in your life, and what your experiences are in this life. So you store as a memory, based on your book of life, those memories that can trigger you in the future, which you can learn to deal with, which will form your life according to your book. So you have your triggers based on your book, personality that reacts on the triggers based on the book. That creates the story of your life. So it's always the combination, your book of your life, your ego type, and the triggers, and it's all written in your book of life. So you just follow the path of life, and everything will happen at the right time, at the right moment. And it will give you the experiences in life that we as a source, because we are always connected as energy to source, needed to grow. Same as the coronavirus. In all our books, at this moment, in this chapter in your life, is written that we have an experience with coronavirus. There's no escape, it's here, deal with it. We all do it, the global planet, in different experience. It's the same moment, but we all experience it as different triggers. Positive, negative, fear, grow, stillness, being home, alone, or triggered with your whole family, day in, day out. Yeah, a lot of experiences on the same level according to Corona. So we just have to follow the book of life and embrace it as it is.
So yeah, you're saying now a couple of different things in one answer. First, everything is already set, so everyone has a, you call it a book of life, in which everything is already stated. Your personality, your ego, your triggers, and your reactions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the second thing was that everyone has a different book of life, different personality, different triggers, different circumstances. And that is for the collective to grow.
Absolutely right. We are all connected to the collective. And as a collective, you can see that as a squid with millions of arms connected to all the people on this planet. The squid is source, and the arms are source, connected to the people. So we're always connected to source, and all our experiences are shared with source. So we don't have a personal path, personal grow. Every second is an experience, and we share that every second with source, with the collective, so the collective can grow.
So when you're in like a situation and you're struggling with all the stories of your mind, and you want to change it, or you want to think more positively, like now in the coronavirus, you may feel fear, and you really want to deal with that fear, or feel trust, or feel love, but still it seems impossible. What can you do? You want to change it, you can't change it. It may be written that it's not for you to feel trust, but to feel fear. What to do in a situation like that?
Just embrace the situation. Embrace it as it is. You don't, of course, you still follow your book, But when you forget the book and you feel fear, you just have to embrace the fear and see that when your mind is creating a story, making it bigger, because fear is the trigger. We feel pain, we feel the fear in our body, and the mind is creating a story. It's always making it bigger, and so you create a loop that feeds the fear again, and the story getting bigger and bigger. So you just have to be aware of the story of your mind. When you are aware of the story of the mind, you can make it softer, make it more going to the background. So you just have to end with the fear in your body. You just send your love to the fear. You breathe in, you breathe out. You make it softer and softer till it's gone. And that's not a simple task. It's not so simple to make the triggers softer, because triggers are always in our bodies. No one on this planet is without triggers. Your life can be more comfortable, for sure, then you feel more comfortable, you have less triggers. But in your worst days or weeks in your life, all triggers are coming up again. So you just have to embrace the triggers and don't let the trigger be the start of the story of your mind. You just have to breathe in, breathe out, make them softer and stop the story, because then the triggers can go to the background, soften even more and more. You can go on with your life without the ups and downs. It's just a trigger, no story, because a story is always reflecting to the future. What if? Then it will become bigger. It's an ongoing loop. So if you stop the story, it's just what's happening right now in my body. What do I feel? Why do I feel fear? You don't have to investigate, because we investigate with our mind that creates the same story. Just feel it, embrace it, breathe in, breathe out, till it softens, then you can go on. Fear is just triggering of the past.
In the beginning you said that in the Book of Life is already written what kind of triggers you will have, the memories which memories will be stored in your body. So everyone who is being triggered now, triggered in fear, for example, first of all, it's already written. Second, it's a trigger to a memory that was also already written. And the trigger is just in the body, and the mind creates the story. And the type of story is dependent on your type of personality.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. So, but again, everything is already written. So even if you're trying your best and it might not work, it's just as it is at this moment, right?
Absolutely right.
Yes. On the other hand, when you're listening and you're hearing this, that might be a moment for change.
Written in your book.
Written in your book.
A moment of change is already written, so you just have to hear it first, recognize it from your deeper knowing, your soul level, that it's time for change.
Yeah. And that change is in the awareness of feeling the trigger and stopping the story of the mind.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Because triggers are always there, will never go away.
Yeah.
But you can soften the stories in your mind.
First you soften, and the more frequent you do that, the less story is going to be.
Yeah.
And it's not a question of days or weeks. It will take you years, most of the time. And that's a personal grow, or that's the grow that we chose.
Or the experiences that we chose. Yeah. Where does the need for all those stories come from? Because some people have, like you said, a more comfortable life don't have so many stories in their mind, but there are also people who have lots of stories, which really affects the quality of life. Why?
Well, pretty simple. If we all had a simple book or a comfortable book, it would take us millions and millions of years longer as source to grow. So we as one chose to do as much experiences with as many people as possible and as different as they can be. So each continent has their own, let's call it, lessons to learn for source. Towns, families, all that we see as karma or as lessons or as individual lessons. It's all part of the total growth. And the more different it is, the faster the oneness grows. So that's why some people have a difficult life, difficult book, call it an Hitchcock, and others have a beautiful story. So it needs to be as different as it can be, so source can experience as much as possible at the same moment.
You said, I think, in the beginning of this life that the ego, I don't remember. We're talking about the ego, but that's not who we are. But on the other hand, the ego feels so very real. It feels as if it's everything there is. There is no other experience outside the bubble of the ego.
Before we have a real enlightenment moment, we associate ourselves with me. And me is the physical body, the personality, the mind, the creation, life. And I hear a lot of people saying, I know that I'm a soul, but that's from believing, reading, believing, not from knowing. My life was very beautiful till I had my first enlightenment moment. And there everything changed. As with all the people that have their first, second enlightenment moment, you will become more aware. You go from believing to knowing that you're not a physical body, that you're more soul as energy, using a physical body, using personality just to experience. So you really need an enlightenment experience to understand and to know from your heart that you are a soul, not a physical ego, mind, and physical body. The body is just a temple of your soul. You can use for all the experiences. Without a physical body, it's impossible to experience. You can't feel love, you can't feel hate, you can't feel pain. That's why we chose to be here in physical form. But still, we are one. We are all connected. We are all energy, not a physical body and the mind and the ego. Beautiful question, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You said that you can't understand. No, you can read about we are one and we have a soul, But understanding the ego within the world of the ego is self-delusional. The ego can be very, well, do not underestimate the ego. The ego is so uncanny, so unbelievably creative. Yeah, I was looking for the word, in ways to keep you in the world of the ego. Even by saying, I'm aware, I'm a soul, I'm doing the right thing, even then the ego is still in control and still letting someone believe they're in control. So it's really difficult to feel the difference without having the experience.
Absolutely right. The ego knows all your fears. And also what you need to think that you know who you are. So even when you go in a meditation, you find pure silence in the meditation, you feel love everywhere, it's still the stillness and the fake stillness of the mind, because you still experience through the physical body. When you have a real enlightenment moment, you don't feel anymore. Most of the time it's a fraction of a second. There's no time, there's no space. You feel, you have an experience. There are no words, no feelings, just coming home. There's nothing, not even love, not even connected. We experience that when we come back. So feeling love, feeling connection everywhere. It's a physical reaction based on the silence of the mind. When you go beyond the silence of the mind, and the mind really gives up, that's not so simple. It has to be written in your book that it's time for you to experience coming home, or enlightenment, of self-realization, beyond everything. Only then you know that it's different than the silence of the mind, or the love that you feel everywhere.
So the ego has many ways to make you feel self-realized or enlightened without having the true experience.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's always manipulating your whole life, even your experiences. It's still written in your book, so there's no right and wrong, it's just an experience. But when it really gives up, when it really falls away for a second in your life, you have the real experience of self-realization, you know the difference.
Yeah.
That's the moment of change. That's the moment of a new chapter. It's the moment of knowing who you really are, instead of all the knowledge that we stored here from books, from teachings, from all the input that we have got that formed us, the conditioning, 100% conditioned. So you can only know who you really are by experience, not by meditation or doing exercises. It has to be written in your book. My first experience was in a period that I wasn't seeking, I wasn't investigating, I wasn't doing spiritual practice, I was doing bodybuilding, working a lot of hours. And somewhere in my book was written that I need to have that experience. And 2 weeks before that, something changed in my energy, and we had a lot of discussions about God, how it could present itself, and then suddenly it just happened, out of nowhere, out of the blue. Everything fell away.
Yeah, you don't need to do anything.
No. When it's the right time, you will have your experience.
Yeah. Why the need for the experiences of the resistance of the ego? Because the ego does so many things to prevent you from self-realizing. What is the need for all those experiences?
Well, first, your total life is based on the experience. So we are here to feel and experience and how it is really experienced every second in life. Even following a spiritual path needs to be triggered somewhere, written in your book. And on that path, your ego knows that it's going to lose control somewhere. It's written in your book. Keep on coming to your book. So the closer you're getting to your enlightenment moment, your ego is trying to take control, to keep control, to create different realities, like the silence that you can experience, just to stop you there, not to go even deeper. So it's, even though we have the path of life, written book, the ego doesn't know that. Ego wants to have control, don't believe in the book. If you think that your book of life is not there, it's your ego that's saying no. Inside your body, there's a soul. You can recognize it. You know that you don't have to make choices, that you just have to follow and experience. It can be recognized by everybody. It's just the ego that wants to keep control, that wants to be me, one, different as everybody, better than everybody, more spiritual than everybody, more beautiful than everybody. So it wants to be really unique, and that's still part of the experience. It will take us many, many, many centuries before we can let go of that me thing, the ego, live us equal in balance.
And the ego doesn't want to lose control.
For sure.
Yes.
You will never give up control freely.
No. How can you feel the difference between a feeling and resistance from the ego? For example, when, like you said, when you talk about the book of life and everything is written, you're basically saying you don't have any free will. Lots of people feel resistance. No, I have free will. I make choices every day. I can sit down, do nothing, and that's my choice. So there's resistance.
Mm-hmm.
How can you feel the difference? How can you feel the difference between the feeling and the resistance of the ego?
Even the feeling and the resistance can only be experienced when you're able to zoom out. To zoom out and to look at yourself and to see what your body and your mind is acting. Life is an act. An act just to experience, but still it's an act based on your ego. And so when you're able to zoom out, you can see what you're feeling, you can see what you are creating in the mind. From that moment that you're able to zoom out, you're more aware that you can, somewhere in your life, can get control of what's happening over there. And you know that you can zoom out as a soul. You will take control more and more over what's happening. Because then you don't associate anymore that you are one with the physical body. Or associate more, I'm a soul, and I can use and work with that ego. When it's triggered in a negative way, just let it soften the story and be as it is. And when you need the creator or the inspector or the control type, you can use it in a positive way. So you want to be the creator and you need to create, you use your ego for that. When you don't need it at home, for example, you can just let it go and be who you really are. The most beautiful part of your ego, and even without the ego, you can just be. You don't need anything, you can just be connected with everybody, connected with your partner, or just being alone. There's no input needed anymore.
So feeling the difference is like either being identified with the resistance, which usually feels very intense, or being able to watch yourself feel resistant to something.
Or even the feelings are part of the story. Feelings are bounded to the physical body. Ego is bounded to the mind, and the mind is part of the physical body. So you can never separate feelings and story. That's one. When you zoom out as a soul, there are no feelings. You can just really watch. So feelings and story are always together as one physical experience. And it's not that simple to zoom out. I always say that, but it's not that simple to see yourself as a puppet.
Yeah.
Puppet of source. You are source, you're just watching, experiencing.
Because that's even within the world of the ego.
Absolutely.
You're still within the world of the ego, observing.
Correct.
The ego,
Correct.
Experiencing the feelings, but not being identified with it, I think.
Absolutely right. But first, there are three steps in taking control.
Oh.
First,
I'm going to stop you there,
okay,
because we're going to end with that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you're going too fast.
Okay.
Instead, maybe you can talk about ways or examples of the ego to stay in control when it feels it's losing control.
Well, a very good example of that is during the Pranic process. People that are doing the Pranic process.
What is the Pranic, for the people who don't know what the Pranic process
Pranic
is?
Process,
What is
yeah.
the Pranic process?
That's a retreat that I organize to transform your body for Pranic living. Pranic living is living from Prana without the possibility of food and drink intake. You can really live from, as I am doing, from energy, without food, without drinks. And during that process, it's a process of really knowing that it's possible. And that's not from the mind, because your mind is always doubting and giving you more and more triggers, more and more physical reactions. For example, when you're doing the journey process and the Pranic process, you're afraid of losing your hair, for example. You will lose your hair partly, just a couple of weeks. So you will be triggered and be afraid that you're not having enough vitamins or nutrients, so you're going to doubt the journey, the Pranic process. Another example, when you're afraid of having enough energy, you will have a lack of energy because your mind knows how to control the body. So the body will drain all your energy. You will have that as an experience, just to keep control. So your mind is always using your body to keep control, to prevent that you're going deeper and deeper to know who you really are.
Just for some reference, the Pranic process is living on Prana and not needing food and drinks. And food is very associated with emotions and covering up emotions and filling up a void. So it's very ego tied. Food is very ego tied. So the Pranic process is the Pranic retreat is a retreat where the ego gets challenged in many ways.
For sure.
So that's, so that's one thing. And you're saying that on the one hand, triggers are stored in the body, as written is in your book, and the ego reacts on those triggers. That's one thing. But also that the ego uses the body.
Absolutely.
To undermine your process.
Yes.
Because when you're in the Pranic process, you're liberating yourself from one very extreme form of conditioning, food.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it uses your body, and sometimes in even extreme ways, to undermine your trust.
Yeah. It's very simple. When you can prove have the trust that you can live on prana, all your conditioning about food intake, water intake, vitamins, blah blah blah, was not true. So when you're convinced that you can live with prana, isn't the rest of your conditioning, and conditioning is all the intake of your mind, not true as well. So the whole basis of the mind, the structure of the mind, all the knowledge will be challenged from that time on. When you know that things are different, really knowing, based on the pranic process, you will doubt your total conditioning. So you will doubt your mind as well. Because your mind is based on the input and the conditioning. Your mind is conditioning. If you lose conditioning, you lose your mind. You lose your mind as well. Yeah. What a blessing is that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So the pranic retreat is one way to also challenge the ego.
Absolutely. Your ego will be challenged as it has never been challenged before.
Yeah. And you also give the darshan retreats, which in which you create the perfect circumstances for people to have their enlightened moment or self-realization moment.
Absolutely right. Yes.
And that too is a way to undermine the control of the ego.
Absolutely. Even deeper than in the pranic process.
Why?
During the darshan week, the physical body is challenged more and more, deeper than in the pranic process. The exercises are intenser. The chaos is more intense. So draining all the physical energy, creating more chaos for the mind, will force a mind to lose control, to surrender in a certain moment. So at the end of the retreat, the last 2 days, your body is totally empty, drained of energy. The mind is triggered in millions and millions of ways. You are angry, you want to run away. It's all the mind. And then it happens. That's the moment. After a breath exercise, we do many times a day. Every time that you go from the chaos into the silence, there's a possibility to surrender, and it will surrender. It will surrender. It's the only way at this moment for our strong minds to let it go to control. But it's impossible to do that with short evening sessions or with short coachings, or we need to drain the body, do at least a week heavy exercises, need to create chaos more and more day in, day out, and suddenly it will surrender.
So in the pranic retreat you basically undermine the control of the ego by having an experience that's different than what you've been taught and learned. And in the darshan retreat you have the enlightenment experience, the experience of not being the personality and the ego, which is very fundamental in taking control over the ego Is it possible to take control over the ego without having a self-realization moment?
No, that's fake. No, that's impossible. Because you first have to know who you really are.
Mm.
Otherwise, it's still the ego that's taking control of the
Telling
ego.
you things.
That's an
ongoing loop.
Yeah.
So you really have to step out, or no, not step out.
No, you have to really experience. Then you go from believing
to knowing.
And knowing is really recognizing on a deeper level instead of trying to know it with your mind.
Yeah.
You can read a lot of books about angels. The moment you see a real angel, you know that it's true. Otherwise, it's still believing that it's true. And believing is hoping to have that experience. When you have experience,
it
doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
No. And you really know that it's the truth. And still, I always got a question. When it's written in your book, why do I need to come to you, for example, or do something different?
Yeah.
Even that's written in your book. I can only give you the opportunity to recognize that you need to be somewhere. 2 weeks ago, I spoke to someone that said, last year I knew I need to come to the Netherlands and I didn't know why. Didn't know that, and I was searching why. So I let it go, but I knew that I needed to come. Then she saw one of my YouTube lives. And she recognized the reason. And the reason was the darshan. So that's what the same as what I said. When it's in your book, the energy is somewhere starting. You know that you're ready for change, ready for the next step. So you just have to keep on opening your eyes and being aware what's happening around me. Then it will happen. You will know why. You will meet the right persons, as it is written in your book. But if you forget the book, it's beautiful to see how everything is created for you to have that experience.
We'll do another live about the Book of Life and
For sure.
the illusion of free will.
Yeah, it's very complex. I think it's enough for now, because otherwise people get lost about.
Yeah, but we'll do maybe the next live. Yeah. That's going to be fun. Okay, so I want to end with one final question. Can you give a simple exercise that someone can do to take control of their ego?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are always 3 steps. Recognizing, embracing, and letting go. First, you have to recognize what your story of your life is. A story that's created through your personality. The Enneagram, for example, is 9 personality types, and you're always playing one personality type. And don't be fooled. Don't investigate by yourself, because you will never find the right one. You need a coach to assist you to find the right personality type, because it's not that simple. So first you have to recognize it, and you have to recognize it really that you're playing it day by day. So when you're at night in your bed, And especially in the negative ways, when you're triggered, and you see the negative behavior, you can recognize that you are triggered somewhere and how you reacted. You got triggered, how you reacted. And when you do that long enough, you can go to embracing it. So you can recognize it in a moment. I see my negative behavior. And when you stop there and you go back 10 seconds, and you can feel what happened here. You can feel the trigger. And we'll keep on training that day by day. Why am I reacting? I'm feeling the trigger. How am I reacting? Feeling the trigger. Letting go is the moment that you feel the trigger coming up and you see yourself reacting. That you missed that opportunity. You feel the next trigger. See yourself reacting. You miss that opportunity. And somewhere in that training, you feel the reaction, the trigger, and you think, I'm not going to react. There you take control. Letting go is stopping the story of your mind. So first you have to recognize what you play, what part on the stage of this planet do you play and act on. Second, you will recognize it in the moment. Trigger, reaction, trigger, reaction. Last part, trigger, no reaction. Triggers will always be there, but stopping the reaction is a change of your life. Take control how your ego reacts in a negative way, especially.
Yeah. Still within the world of the ego, and the ego has, again, numerous ways in fooling you that you're in control. And the negative reactions are the more easy ones to start with.
Yeah.
Let's say someone is is in a very comfortable position, is very happy, silent mind. How can a person with that experience take control of the ego? Because maybe someone thinks I'm in control of the ego because I don't feel resistance, I feel good, I feel happy, but it's still the ego.
Exactly the same way.
Yeah, could you just
recognize
an example with something positive?
Yeah. Name the creative type. We call it the drama queen as well. Being painter, being comfortable, painting beautiful paintings, for example. Even that is based on your personality. So when you recognize your personality, you can read how you react from very positive till very negative, very triggered, non-triggered. But even the positive reactions are based on memory. Ego is 100% conditioning. There's also being the creative one, being the laughing personality or the serving personality. But everybody laughs, it's still an act. But first you have to recognize which type you are, which type you play. Then you can recognize it in daily life. And the positive side is also your quality. But still, the positive quality, well, I call it fake. It's still personality, it's still ego. So first you have to recognize it, control it,
embrace it and let it go. So you can do something like that if you are the creator. What happens if you stop creating? What happens if you stop painting? What happens if you stop showing your paintings? What happens then? Can you let go of the reaction of painting? Can you let go of the reaction of wanting to show your paintings? Can you let go? if you can let go, then you're in control.
The moment you are in control, there's no unhealthy need to create or to paint. So the moment you have control, you can use it as a quality. But first, you have to take control.
Yeah.
After that, you can say, okay, I like to create. I use my creator in a positive way, and I create what needs to be created. So you use it as a quality. Otherwise, it has control over you, based on unhealthy needs.
Yeah.
The creator needs to create. When it doesn't create, it feels lazy or unfulfilled, or that's the unhealthy habit, the unhealthy need.
And you can uncover whether or not it's healthy or not healthy. Mm-hmm. For example, by not doing it for a certain, I think for a long period of time. What happens if you stop doing something? What comes up? Because you have negative triggers, and like you said, when you're in bed, just review your day, and every negative trigger, just recognize it, embrace it, until you can let it go.
Absolutely.
But when you're, for example, creating, can you stop creating, go to bed every night, recognize what happens, embrace it, and let the reaction go?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and when you can, then you can create from a healthy desire, maybe.
Desire, yeah.
Then
you can see it as a quality instead of unhealthy.
And you can create because you create, and not because you want to feel seen or loved or fill up a void or.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful question.
No, you're welcome.
Beautiful question.
That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for this summary of beautiful questions.
You're very welcome.
Couple of months. So for everybody at home, I really hope that you have more understanding about what your ego is, how it can take control, how it controls your life. Please send me feedback. If you have many more questions, put them under this live, and we can do a live within a couple of weeks about all your questions again, just to help you and to get control of your ego. So thank you for watching. If you want to know more about the retreats that are organized to leave your ego behind, to live more freely, more healthy, more energy, blah blah blah. There are so many beautiful things that you can get from the retreat. Feel if it's your time to be somewhere. I'm here for you. I'm here to serve you, to help you, to assist you to change your life, to step into a new chapter of your life. So stay healthy in this hard time, trigger time. I hope to see you all very soon. Thank you for watching. Satnam, everybody.